Remember Bunny and Naina's iconic soul-searching hike in Manali and the snow-capped peaks in Roja's Puduvellai Malai? These views may be becoming a thing of the past. Yes, those snow-capped mountains that are chased by millions of tourists each year may not continue to be as snow-covered anymore. But today, we are not talking about the tourists chasing the snow or Bollywood movies that romanticize the mountains. Today, we are going to talk about why we are losing snow on the Himalayas and what that means for us. In fact, last year in March, we covered the same issue, and it's happening again. I'm Lavanya, and in this episode of The Climate Brief, we are uncovering a new dangerous pattern in the Himalayas that threatens the ecosystem, the people, and their livelihoods. In early January this year, as the world was celebrating the arrival of 2026, Uttarakhand was fighting devastating wildfires. The wildfire near the pristine Valley of Flowers eventually required support from the Indian Air Force to contain the blaze. Take a moment. Let that sink in. The month that should see peak snowfall in the Himalayan region has witnessed forest fires. And it was not just a single incident. The Forest Survey of India, or the FSI, reported around 1,600 winter fire alerts since November 1st. Campfires and agricultural burning have also been a reason, but the main reason? The shifting of a key weather system. An every-year phenomena known as the Western Disturbances that bring moisture-bearing storms from the Mediterranean region to northwest India and the western Himalayas. Under favorable conditions, they bring snowfall to Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand between December and February. But this winter, Western disturbances have been fewer and weaker. Some of these moisture-bearing storms were displaced northward, while most carried little to no moisture. Hence the long dry spells during the days that we see peak snowfall. Ultimately, the absence of snow contributed to fires affecting around 15 hectares of forest by mid-January. Now, snowfall has begun in late January across Jammu, Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, and people are relieved. Some regions recorded over 70 centimeters of fresh snow, shutting down hundreds of roads and key highways. It actually led to a tourist rush, with drone visuals showing lines of long traffic on the Chandigarh-Manali highway. So you might be wondering, what's the problem? So what if snow was delayed by a month? This is exactly what we'll cover in the next chapter. So why is the December to January snowfall crucial? The snowfall early in winter, in the December-January period, results in the formation of glaciers. These glaciers then melt slowly, replenishing the rivers, becoming a water source for spring and summer months when the water demand is at its peak. But the late snow, it is thin, it melts much earlier than spring because of hotter months. Scientists warn that the lack of snow could push the mass balance of glaciers in Uttarakhand into negative territory, meaning they lose more ice than they gain. This means that glacier cover reduces, affecting the glacier-fed rivers, affecting the water security of the Indo-Gangetic plains that depend on these rivers, affecting agriculture and horticulture in subsequent months, affecting forests, rivers, and all the life forms that depend on them. And as we are already seeing, when winters are dry, the soil doesn't get enough moisture. That dries out grass, leaves, and even trees. So when a small spark happens, fires start easily, and they spread faster. Dry winters quietly turn forests into fuel. The ecosystems that are already under climate stress are pushed to the edge, up in the mountains and further downhill, affecting millions. A one-off year might not drastically affect the ecosystem, but recent research shows that changes seen in Uttarakhand and across high mountain Asia are not a local deviation. It is a pattern spanning the last 44 years. With just a warming of about 1.5 degrees Celsius, persistent snow has declined by 9.5%. The study finds that the snow is melting faster and accumulating less and less every year, which means the snow caps are shrinking. And what is happening in Uttarakhand is a prime example of this problem. The seasonal rhythm breaks. The cycle of nature weakens. Many of India's major rivers like Indus, Sutlej, Beas, and tributaries in the north originate in the Himalayan glaciers. Shrinking glaciers means drying up rivers and drying up of civilization downstream. late snowfall can still sustain tourism. But it doesn't sustain farmers that rely on meltwater, that recharges springs, pastures, that sustain wildlife and cattle grazing, the fruits and nuts that sustain the nation and the economy. What about them? What's happening in Uttarakhand isn't an isolated headline. It's a signal. Quiet and slow, but dangerous. Snow that arrives late, melts early, and disappears faster is rewriting the future of our rivers, of our farms, our forests. Climate change doesn't always announce itself with disasters. Sometimes it shows up as missing snow. I'm Lavanya, and this is The Climate Brave. If this story mattered to you, share it. And for more stories connecting climate change to everyday life, subscribe to The Climate Brave.